Hello, dear authors and invited guests. Welcome to Technical Session 5C. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 5th World Conference on Smart Trends in Systems, Security and Sustainability through Zoom on behalf of WS4 2021 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation. We are thankful to everyone present on this platform to go along with us digitally for the conference in these unpredictable circumstances of COVID-19 and making this conference more productive. Also, we wish everyone and their families a protected time, and we will all together pass this soon. We hope you will enjoy the last day of the knowledgeable and interactive sessions. Just before we get started, I would like to introduce you all to the chair of this session, Dr. Izuku Uzer Ugik. Dr. Izuku is currently a senior lecturer and the cluster chair of Information Systems Cluster Department of Computer Science, University of Botswana. He is a senior member of IEEE and a member of ACM. His research interests are in software quality models and architectures, software measurements, information systems, software engineering, machine learning, information security, cybersecurity, and e-systems. Dr. Ezekiel, over to you, sir.
Okay, we are welcome to this section. And I'd like to remind you the rules. Each presenter has got 12 minutes, and then there will be 3 minutes of questions and answers. I do hope you will stick to your time, and then every other thing we progress as usual. So let's go right away to the first presenter. Complex contourist transform domain-based image compression. Bhagavi, yes, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good day, everyone. Myself, Bhargavi, and I'm here to present on the topic Complex Controller Transform Domain-Based Image Compression. This is the overview. We'll start with the introduction, and we'll see some of the main points of our paper, such as block diagram, algorithm, and the final results and conclusion. Here is the introduction. Image compression is basically done in order to make the transmission and storage process easier. In general, the digital image has immense amount of information, and this makes the data size of that image quite big. This paper mainly focuses on the image compression method using the Raspberry Pi with the help of complex controller transformation. And the digital images are captured at regular intervals with the help of a web camera, and then it is sent to the Raspberry Pi board as an input image. Further, the image compression takes place in the Raspberry Pi with the help of complex controller transform, and the processes such as quantization and encoding are done in order to compress the image. Then the target host receives the image, and they can reconstruct the image from the compressed image, and they can use it for several other applications. These are some of the types of redundancy that can occur while compressing an image. The first one being relationship between neighboring pixel points, that is spatial redundancy. The second one is relationship between different color panels, that is the spectral redundancy. And the final one is the temporal redundancy, which is the relationship between near points. Now, the reasons for choosing lossless compression are: lossless compression is used to minimize the image without affecting the quality of image, and it is also reversible. So lossless compression is preferred. And when it comes to medical images, it directly links to the patient's health and life. So obviously lossless compression is chosen. And the basic methods to implement lossless compression are run length encoding, coding method, entropy encoding, which is also known as arithmetic encoding, and chain codes. These are the basic needs for image compression. Huge sizes of data files makes communication difficult process. The storage devices have relatively slow access. It is impossible to render or index image info in real time. And limited bandwidth of the communication channels makes it even more difficult to transmit multimedia data such as image and video data that has a large data volume. The major advantage or need of image compression is that it reduces the need to data storage requirement, and it also offers an alternative approach to reduce the communication cost. It reduces the size of data, and it can be measured with the help of compression ratio, which is nothing but the ratio between original data size and the compressed data size. It also reduces the time to retrieve and store or transmit the data. Here's the motivation. Complex controller transform is a real representation of 2D images. The transform has two layer filters, namely the first one is Laplacian pyramid transform, which is used to realize the multi-scale decomposition, and the second one is the directional filter bank, which takes care of the multi-directional decomposition. It transforms both multi-resolution and multi-directional decomposition flexibly, and it can grasp all the essential characters of the image easily. Compared with wavelet transform, controller transform presents the digital conversion of discrete transform first, and then it extends it to the continuous domain and analyze on its properties. It can be more convenient in terms of simulation-based applications. Here's the objective. In image processing is a method to convert an image into digital form and perform some certain operations on it in order to get an enhanced image or to extract some useful information from the image. It is a type of signal processing in which the input is an image. The output can either be a character of image, a feature of image, or an enhanced version of the original image. In visualization process, the objects that are not clearly visible can be brought into focus and can be made visible clearly. And image sharpening and restoration can be done in order to get a better image quality. Image variation can be done in order to improve the color variations of the image. And pattern recognition measures the various patterns around the objects, and it can be used in AI-based learning applications. Retrieval process can be used in database applications where we can give the input image and we can find the similar images as like the input image. The disadvantages of existing method, which is nothing but the discrete wavelet transform method. It has three major disadvantages. The first one is shift sensitivity. DWT suffers from shift sensitivity. When there is a shift in the input signal, it causes unpredictable changes in the output signal. So DWT suffers from that. Poor directional selectivity. DWT has poor directional selectivity, which compromises the optimality of DWT representation of signals on image processing. And it has also lack of phase information, which is an important parameter in the description of amplitude and local behavior of a function. Now, moving on, these are some of the advantages of complex controller transform, which is the proposed method. The important features of complex controller transform are directionality and anisotropy, which the wavelets do not have. So complex controller transform outperforms wavelet in many image processing applications. The further advantages are it has multi-resolution, multi-directional, discrete domain implementation, and it reduces the redundancy, which is a very good point for us. And wavelets are important tools in representing the signal and good in detecting point discontinuities. However, they are not practical in representing the geometrical level of contours. Hence, controller transform is preferred over DWT. Here are some of the reasons why we have chosen Raspberry Pi for our paper. The Raspberry Pi is a fully featured microcomputer squashed onto a circuit board, which is comparably small, and it has a dimension of 9 cross 5.5 centimeter. And it helps to store an extensive range of data, and it maintains the image condition while storing the data. And Raspberry Pi is a supercomputer permits execution of controller transform with the help of Python language, and it has a major advantage that it is low cost. It can work on ultra low power mode, and it is completely easy to program. And the Raspberry Pi is 40 times faster than an Arduino. Raspberry Pi has dedicated camera input port, which allows the user to record high quality video and audio as well as images. Using Python, specific libraries written for the Pi, users can create tools and take photos and videos and analyze them in
Sorry to
real time.
interrupt, madam. You have 2 minutes last.
Yes, sir. Here is the block diagram. Firstly, the web camera captures the image, then it sends to the Raspberry Pi as input image. Then in the Raspberry Pi, image compression takes place with the help of quantization and arithmetic encoding. Finally, then it is sent to the storage and transmission block where you can store or transmit the image. Then at the receiver end, decoding takes place and inverse quantization and inverse CCT takes place in order to reconstruct the image. Complex controller transform is based on two filters, namely Laplacian transform filter and the filter bank directional scheme. After these two phases, the complex controller transform comes with the low and high frequency bands, and the end result will be non-subsample controller transform, which is the NCST. Hence,
What's the problem?
sir, it came as the host muted myself.
Why are they muting you?
No. That was some error, technical issue. Please continue.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Hence, it is computationally more logical than other transforms.
Can you move faster? You have 3 minutes for your presentation, and then we ask questions.
Yes, sir. 1 minute. Here is the algorithm. The compression technique takes place with the help of quantization and encoding process. The image from the webcam is fed to the Raspberry Pi as the input image, and then quantization and arithmetic encoding takes place within the Raspberry Pi. After that, we can either store the image or transmit the image as per our requirement. And in the receiving end, decoding takes place. Further processing such as inverse quantization and inverse complex controller transform takes place in order to reconstruct the image. Finally, the reconstructed image can be used for several other applications based on the need of the user. And these are the results that we obtained. The figure A is the original image, that is the input image, and the figure B is the compressed image with the help of complex controller transform. The figure C is the output decompressed image. Here are the histogram plots of the three images. The first one is the histogram plot of original image. The second one, which is the B image, is the histogram plot of compressed image, and image C is the histogram plot of reconstructed image. As we can see, the amplitude of signal in the compressed image is reduced, which indicates that data size has been reduced in the compressed image. This is the performance evaluation table for different sets of input images. Here, 5 sets of test images were used, and their dimensions and their characters such as dimension, compression ratio, signal to noise ratio, etc. are given here. Compared to other entropy encoding methods, the proposed complex controller transform has many significant advantages like high space saving, low mean square error, and low signal to noise ratio. Also, it has very less complexity. So the CCT gives a better result than other entropy encoding methods. The conclusion, the proposed work suggests that the compression ratio is increased by using complex controller transform other than discrete cosine transform and discrete wavelet transform methods. This method can be efficiently used to any type of image format. This algorithm is an efficient and ideal method for transmission, and there is a less possibility of trespasser modifying the original data or changing the content of original images while transmitting. Hence, this method ensures a good security level for secure transmission, not only secure and faster, but it also safer than other JPEG compression algorithms, and it has also a good compression ratio. Therefore, we can use this method for e-health telemedicine technology for better storage and transmission. This method also ensures that the information compressed will be secured with the proper security key, and it follows the standard HL7, that is the health level 7.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Do we have questions from the audience?
Yes, sir. I can ask this question.
Questions? Any questions? Okay, from me, the algorithm is what?
Sir?
What is this algorithm?
Yes, sir. We are compressing the image with the help of complex controller transform.
Does
Firstly,
it have an identity?
sir,
It's just an algorithm. So what do you call this algorithm?
it is based on complex controller transform, sir. It is an image compression algorithm.
Okay, an image compression algorithm. Is it yours or is it a tool you are using?
It is one algorithm which has two processes, quantization and encoding, sir.
But it's not yours. You are not the one who developed.
Sir?
Is it yours? Are you the owner of the algorithm? Or it's just a tool? You are applying the tool.
Previously, it was based on discrete wavelet transform. Now we have changed it to complex controller transform, sir.
You changed it. You
Yes,
made
sir.
modification on the algorithm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So where is the algorithm on your presentation?
It's here, sir.
Where is the algorithm?
Here, sir.
No, not the results. The algorithm. These are the results.
This is algorithm, sir. Can you see it now?
You see, one would have expected to see how the transformations are done. This is just a procedure. The procedure are the steps taken to achieve the algorithm. But one would have loved to see the algorithm in practice. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? This algorithm that gave you this result, one would have loved to see the algorithm, not the procedure. Yeah, the where you said this is the algorithm, compression techniques executed by using this is a procedure, the steps to which you take to realize. But there's an algorithm that generated all those numbers. Where is the algorithm?
Sir, actually, you can see it here. We are doing two processes. First one is the quantization, and the second one is arithmetic encoding. With the help of these two processes, we are doing the complex controller transform. Then image compression takes place. Then it moves to the storage and transmission, sir.
Yeah, but before you generated the result, it has to do some computations which the algorithm is supposed to be performing. So your algorithm should have been a formal algorithm. There is a formal algorithm that generates these numbers. That's why I'm asking, is it yours or is it someone's algorithm? And even if it's somebody's algorithm, then the formal algorithm has to be presented, and then where you made your modifications or contributions will come in. So you need to take care of that. This is just a procedure. If you are saying you have an algorithm that is generating this result, you have to be able to present that algorithm. All right?
Yes, sir.
And in which language is it implemented?
Python.
Python. So there must be a formal algorithm. So if you don't have, you need to bring that algorithm, even though it may be so much, but we need to see on the formal algorithm what your contribution is, where you made the modifications. If you really understand the algorithm, then you should be able, this is a procedure. We are just showing out the procedure. And the diagram is still a procedure, but the algorithm that generates those things exists. We need to see that reflected in the research. Thank you. That was a nice presentation, but you need to take care of what I have just said.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Your table one, let's see the table. There's a table, table one. On that table, if you can go back, but it looks as if we are getting into someone's time. But on that table, I needed to know what those variables are and what they are doing.
Yes, sir. You need me to share that one, sir?
Yeah, if you can go back to table one, because if they are going to publish it in the proceedings, we need to understand what the variables are and what they are doing, which you did not show.
This one, sir?
No, there is yeah, on this table, you have text, image, SS percentage, dime, CR, compression size, and then uncompressed, MNSE, PSR. Is there a place you indicated what these variables are doing?
Okay, sir, I can explain it now, sir.
No, it has to be reflected on your paper, not just to explain to us,
Okay.
so that people will understand what what the paper is all about, and then it will give meaning to those who read it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let's get on to the next presenter. Next presenter, are you ready?
Our next presentation is from Mr. Atharva Paliwal, and the paper title is An Approach to Paperless Administration of Offices in India Using Blockchain.
All right, over to you, Mr. Atharva.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. 1 minute.
Mr. Atharva, I can't hear you.
Mr. Atharva, please start your presentation.
Please, can you start from the beginning?
Ma'am, 1 minute.
You are on mute. You are on mute.
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute. I'm having some problem. अबे क्या करूं भाई?
Atharva, if it is okay. Hello, Atharva.
Hello. Okay.
Can you please
Okay.
start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Atharva Paliwal, and I, on behalf of my co-authors, is going to present before you a research paper titled An Approach to Paper Administration of Offices in India Using Blockchain. As the name suggests, it's clear that we would be focusing on reducing of paper usages at the offices. Let us look at the table of contents that would be focusing on. First of all, it's the abstract, where we will have an abstract of proposed system, or what is the conventional system that is being used. Secondly, we would have a brief overview about blockchain technology. Third, we would focus on deep about methodology and workflow diagrams of our applications. And at last, what are the conclusions that can be drawn from our presentation. First of all, let us look at what is the abstract between conventional system and the proposed system. Let us start with the conventional system that is being followed in India at the offices. Conventional system uses the methodology of carrying hard copies to the government offices for getting the work done for making a document. This causes a problem for people as they have to carry a huge bundle of documents to the offices. From the office perspective also, this creates a deck of papers on the tables of the employees working in the government offices, and therefore the working of the government offices gets slowed down. For example, for opening a bank account, the user has to submit print copies of documents such as Aadhaar card, electricity bill, PAN card, etc. The bank will now store these documents in a files, and a lot of paper in the process adds to the physical storage space, personal verification, and problems in tracking the validity of the document. There are also many cases of fraudulent activities which can be carried out due to this conventional system because it's been stored as a hard copy. And the major concern which the paper gives us to the environment is cutting of trees. Let us look at the proposed system, what we have. The proposed system deals with uh, the reducing the usage of papers, and it covers all the drawbacks of the conventional system that is being listed above. Blockchain as a technology for storage of documents can easily help us to trace and track and easily access the paper, easily access the information of the user. Uh, Let us now learn about some, before moving to the workflow of the application, I would first like to give you a brief understanding of what blockchain technology is. Blockchain is a sequence of blocks that are linked together using a cryptographic chain. When a transaction is being made by a party, the hash of the previous block, public key of the receiver timestamp, and the digital signature of the sender is stored in the block and stored on blockchain. Only digital signatures are used for authentication, and the whole system transaction is being handled by blockchain software. So what are the properties of blockchain? First of all, it is immutable. Secondly, it is decentralized, and third, uh, it involves the method of digital signatures, which uses the public private key cryptography method, and therefore it is good for verification. We can see the types of blockchain are public and private. Later, we move on to the blockchain which we have used in our system, that is the Solana blockchain. Solana is the new blockchain that is being added to the list of blockchains currently. It is a decentralized open source web scale blockchain that provides distributing computing and building decentralized applications. And the major reason for using Solana blockchain is that it supports 55,000 transactions per second and makes 400 ms block times. It also has the less transaction fees as compared to the other blockchains like Ethereum. It has only a transaction fees of 10 to the power minus 6 Sol, which is very less.
Mr. Atava, are you still with us? Hello, Atava.
Hello, Atharva.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Are you facing an issue?
No, ma'am, no, it's okay. Let us now dive deep into the methodology and the workflow of the application. The terms that our proposed system, and you would hear mostly in our application, are validators, officers, and wallet. You can see that validators mostly are the clerical persons who will interact with the normal people, like those, like in the conventional system, we have the clerks to whom the people interact. The officers who would be responsible for signing the digital signatures for the document, like in the conventional system, we have the higher authorities from which we have to get our documents signed on the hard copies. Third, we have the digital wallet where the user can store his documents. As starting from the beginning in the workflow diagram, if a user wants to create a document, he will either visit the office, give his information and all the necessary documents to the clerk, or he can fill in online. For creation of the document, there are some prerequisites of the documents that are required for the verification. For instance, if a user decides to make an Aadhaar card, then the user can fill the particular forms prior and submit the necessary copies of the documents online. Though for verifying fingerprints and photocopy, user have to visit the offline government center, because doing this online is not advisable. Secondly, creation and uploading of document on platform and the link generation. After the creation of the document from the given information by the users and validation of those prerequisites documents, the e-copy of the document will be generated, and this will now be sent for further verification to the authorities. The document generated is now uploaded on the platform by the validator, who will provide a proper description for the document to whom the document belongs to, and then upload his document onto the IPFS blockchain. The IPFS blockchain is serving as a platform where we would be storing all the media files, like this, all the PDF files or the Word, whatever files that would be made in the offices. The link that we are getting through IPFS acts as a fingerprint of the document, as it will be unique for each user. Now the digital signatures and the verification of the document, in that we have included, like we did not wanted to disturb the hierarchy that is being followed currently in the conventional system. So what we have did is that when the clerk gets the link, he would send that link to the senior officers or the senior authorities, where the senior authorities would put, after verifying the document, they would put their digital signatures in it. And then if they found any discrepancies, they can revert back to the previous officer from whom the link is coming. Now the last workflow is that how the user will get the link, how user will get the access to the document. For this, the final validator will now transfer the document to the wallet that was being issued to the person when the user registered for the document. The link which defines the user's document will now, however, will not be visible to the user, and only the document concerning that link will be available, will be seen by the user. The
you will ask 1 minute.
Yeah. After getting the document in his wallet, the user can now send this document as he wants to use this particular document for further offices also. So he can directly send his document via his digital wallet, where the concerning office would have the receiver for the wallets. And the third is like, now if user wants to update his information, he can go to the concerned office and interact with the validator, who will upload the changes in his files, and then he would submit this to the, and then the whole hierarchy that I explained before would be followed, and the new link and the new document will be sent back to the user's wallet. This is the implemented module we have done till now. You can see that the file name, this is the platform which will be visible to the validator, where he would put the description, he would upload the file, and you can see at the table, we can see that the file belongs to electricity bill for user A, and then the file type and the size and the link which will be sent to the further officers. The conclusion, what we have concluded and from our presentation is that the major goal of the paper is to reduce the paper usages in the offices and make offices more digitalized. Secondly, it focuses on reducing the time of the user that have to spend going to government offices. And also this system provides a greater transparency, as blockchain helps in tracking of the documents. If there is any discrepancy caused by anyone, we can directly be able to see that. So this smart contract based solution also helps in making the idea more digitalized and focuses on more environmental issues also, and therefore reducing the paper usage will lead to the reducing of cutting of trees also. And finally, the application will open a whole new perspective of creation and usage of documents by the offices and the user respectively. Thank you. That was from all from our side.
Thank you, Mr. Athava. Do you have any questions for him? Any
Yes,
questions from the audience? Anybody with a question for Athava? Okay, may I ask you, Mr. Athava?
Yes, sir.
How did you implement this? Has it been implemented?
Sir, it has been implemented till now. As you can see on the slide,
Yes.
this is the part which will be visible to the validator. Actually, we have to implement this. The hierarchy in the offices will matter. So, like if the office, like in the office, if there are 2 senior officers, then the site will support the 4 parts for the application. First of all, the validator, where the user will interact, where he will collect the information from the user, and he will get the link, which in the slide you can see the share link to officer. Now this link would be shared to the officer A, where he would validate the document if it's all okay, and then he would further further transfer his document to the other officer. And then if all is okay, then the final validator, we would again check the document and transfer this link to the user's wallet. But in the backend, the user's link will be process such that the user will only be able to see the document and not the link.
Okay, what I mean is, has it been actually deployed in a user environment?
No, sir, sir,
Yes.
since it's not fully made, we have made till now the 20% only of the application. So after it's being done fully, then we can deploy it also.
Oh, you are just testing. Your results are based on tests.
Yes.
For your
Yes.
study. Okay. Now I only observe that within this study, if you fully you are conversant with UML procedures.
Sir, can you repeat?
UML, the Universal
Okay,
Modeling Language, symbols, and so on and so forth.
Okay,
You know UML. Like all you are doing, they are still part of UML. Okay. But if you now use the standard UML, you will see that some of these you'll be able to replace them with appropriate standard organizational standard UML that will make the work richer than you have done. Since you are showing the procedures, you are showing how it can be implemented, and then you are just showing us using UML, appropriate UML diagrams. So if you look into UML and you try to add that, incorporate that into this work, you have a richer things to show us. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. If it's possible, before it's published, go back to revise this and then go through the UML stuff that you needed. For example, the one you are calling workflow diagram shouldn't have been called workflow diagram, even though we understand that it is a workflow. There's a standard UML for workflow. Okay, but I want you to go back and check UML, and then you will see all you are doing. And then if you are now using UML, you will be able to see that there are much more things for you to use to describe this process.
Yes, sir. Sure,
if
sir.
you
I will
get
keep
that,
that in mind.
that will be
Yes, sir,
wonderful,
yes.
because you are going to be using, you will use a use case or use cases to present some scenarios. Then you will now use the other UML standards to be able to present this. It will be much more richer and standardized, because UML is an organizational standard. That's just my comment, but it's a good work.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
would keep your suggestion in mind. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now we go to the third presenter.
Yes, sir. Our next presentation is from Mr. Sudhanshu Maurya. The paper title is Performance of Grid-Connected Photovoltaic and Its Impact, a Review.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yeah, Mr.
Sudhanshu. Yeah.
Sudhanshu Maurya. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
You have 15 minutes for your presentation, out of which 12 minutes to present and 3 minutes for questions.
Okay, thank you. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my fellow presenter and organizer of this conference. Today, I, Sudhanshu Maurya, on behalf of my co-authors, is going to present my topic, which is performance of grid-connected photovoltaic and its impact, a review. These are the contents of this presentation, which we will go through during our presentation. So, talking about the abstract and motivation of this presentation, the thing that pushed us or motivated us to go through this topic was the need of the involvement of the renewable energy resources. As the fast depletion of the fossil fuels has created a quest for alternate energy sources to take care of the increased load demands, and the solar energy, which is most celebrated one of all the renewable energy, is the solution. which take us to the grid connection of the photovoltaic system and its aspect. As a whole, we have also discussed about different technique which is related to it. It can be either the algorithms of the software associated with this technology. For the introduction part of our review, it is very necessary to understand what is GCP system and why we require it. So, in simple terms, the integration of solar technology with good enough synchronization and fault control with the present grid is the GCP system. It generally comprises of a controller that controls the maximum power point of a PV array and the current and the power injected to the grid, and an inverter that converts the DC output to the AC current and inject it to the grid side of the GCPV system. As why we require it, there are various scenarios. One of them is like, consider there is a fault in your typical conventional technology, which is just the grid connection to your to any of the load which is associated with you, or you are using it. So if there is a fault, there would be a time delay in using that load if you are in need. Then to mitigate this time delay, or to work out your load efficiently, you can incorporate the photovoltaic system to your system, GCPV system, and it will surely conserve the time, and you won't be uh, disappointed by the disconnection of your connection of your grid connection. Now, there are many concepts related to GCP system, like cost effectiveness and performance. And this paper also encases various terminology such as models, software, generation, photovoltaic cell, etc. Now, let us talk about the centralized and decentralized GCP system. Uh, There are large-scale centralized distribution systems which are made using cascaded multi-level DC to AC converters, which is also known as CMS. There is a reduction in power loss due to switching frequency in CMCs. Now, the CMCs have a technique which is used for the maximum efficiency, or which is also known as maximum power point tracking. The only drawback of this centralized GCP system was the insulation mismatch among the PV modules. So to mitigate this problem, we have been using decentralized GCP system, which consists of multiple integrated converters or common inverter and intermediate load, etc. Now, if we are talking about the generation of PV cell, it comprises of four different types. It is named as first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. Now, for the first generation of solar cells, which was only created through the single or multi-crystalline silicons, and which has many drawbacks. So, to mitigate those drawbacks, we research further and find out the second generation, which rectifies the huge consumption of the material making such solar cells. But as we moved on, the feasibility of first and second generation was not up to the mark. So we invented the third generation solar cell, which corresponds to the radiation management concept via dye sensitized solar cell. And now there is a research going on the fourth generation, which is also known as 4G solar cells, which consists of the composites. It may be organic or inorganic in nature, but it hasn't been commercialized yet. It is under the research. Now, this flowchart shows us the various PV technologies associated with it, like wafer-based first generation PV technology. It may be consist of crystalline silicon, or single crystalline silicon, or multi crystalline silicon. Now, thin film solar cells, which are the second generation solar cells. It can be made up of copper, zinc, tin sulfide, zinc sulfide, and cadmium telluride. And there are some organic photovoltaics such as dye-sensitized solar cells, which we have discussed previously. Now, there are some emerging PV technologies which constitutes of the hybrid inorganic crystals with polymer matrices. Now, the sizing and economic aspects of the GCPV system is very important. Like it can contribute to various effects, positive effects of this system, as the sizing of the grid connectivity system mainly depends on four parameters such as amount of strings or panel of strings, space between rows of modules, and number of
Sorry to
modules in series.
interrupt. You have last 1 minute.
Okay. Series and parallel. Now the kill kangar of the PV increases output energy of PV by almost 1%. There are some algorithms such as particle swarm optimization, which is better than other algorithms as it is effective and efficient. It also gives us the design optimization of optimal values of PV module, kill kangar placement of PV modules, etc. And sizing also contribute in the controlling of electric tariff. Now, for controlling the economic aspect of GCPV system, there are many strategies such as energy management optimization under time of tariff, and then energy management optimization and under step tariff. And there are also some algorithms such as catching based optimization techniques, which also incorporates the reduction of net present cost and cost of energies. Now, modeling and simulation is very important aspect of any system, as it incorporates the system which with less capital cost, and we can actually find out what are the drawbacks and advantage of that theoretical system which we are going to apply. So various software for modeling and simulation of GCP systems are available. With the abundance of electrical components and algorithm, it is easy to access and learn. And the performance analysis of GCPV system tells us about the optimal level by which it can efficiently work on its specific applications, while applying different methods and calculation, like modulating the voltage at a specific point just to improve voltage characteristic in a system, and also to achieve the stability of the system. Now, there are various faults which causes the voltage sag and voltage flicker, harmonic voltage imbalance, and there are various methods which can mitigate these faults, such as linking energy storage system to the DC link system using DC breaker chopper, and also there is that DMPPT used with DC link voltage, which also mitigate these faults and gives us the better results. And we can also eliminate harmonics by using voltage source inverter, DC boost converter, and LCL filters. Synchronization is very important part of our GCPV system. It can be done by using some PLL techniques, uh, in which several methodology in addition to this are also introduced to mitigate the shortcomings of system and improve the efficiency, such as SOGI QSD based single phase PLL system techniques. Now, to conclude my presentation and the review, we have found that the GCPV system was gave us the better performance, and many available. There are many available algorithm and software which can be incorporated in the system for the further research purpose. The cost effectiveness was increased as compared to conventional grid connection, and the synchronization is thoroughly mitigated through PLX techniques, and the easy controlling and more options to perform in order to achieve different weight in according to the GCP system was done. These are the references, and thank you.
Any questions for him? Anybody with a question? Okay, now let me ask you this.
Yes.
Since this is a review, are you with me?
Yes, yes.
One would have expected to see you presenting the work done by others, and then you critique each aspect of it.
Yes.
But what you have presented it seems more descriptive than a review. There is no reference in the work showing that this is what was done by so and so researchers in this aspect of grid connected photovoltaic
system. Yes,
but I have seen references at the end, but those references they did not match the presentation.
Hmm.
So
I'm getting
if
the
it's a
answer.
review, one expects that if you pick what so and so has done in each aspect, you reference them as to what they have done in each aspect of the presentation. Otherwise, it's just a descriptive analysis of from your own point of view. Now, but because you say it's a review, you need to reflect and reference every aspect of your presentation by who did this, okay?
Yes, sir.
By the researchers that made the contributions. And then if you have a critic from yourself of what they have done, you also will present it alongside the review.
Okay, sir.
That's very important. Yeah,
Yes,
because
sir. Yes,
you
sir.
described it, but you said it's a review, but we don't see it reflected on in the presentation. If you can take care of that, that will be very good.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
All right, we go to the next presenter.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, Sudhanshu. Our next presentation is from Ms. Pratiksha Sancheti, and the paper title is Interactive Learning Application for Indian Sign Language.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, over to you, yeah.
Yeah. So can I present my screen, sir?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as per your time zones. I would first like to thank WS4 for giving us opportunity to present our paper in this conference. We are from Pune Institute of Computer Technology, Pune, and our topic is Indian Sign Language Recognition System. Our paper title is an interactive learning application for Indian Sign Language. So what is sign language? Sign language is a language used by deaf and dumb people to communicate with each other in their daily lives. But this sign language is not known to all of us, and that's why they're not exposed to many opportunities and feel isolated. So our main motto is to bridge this communication gap. In general, Indian Sign Language consists of static and dynamic signs. Static signs are just simple signs consisting of only one step, like this is a doctor, like just checking a pulse, or any. And a dynamic signs a set of signs, uh, set of number of steps. For example, it may be this accident or call. These are the dynamic signs. Also, furthermore, the signs can be more classified as spelling each alphabet using fingers, like this is a or this is two. These only we use only fingers for these signs, or the vocabulary that uses hand or body movement, facial expressions, and lip movement. So these all are types of sign languages. But for the recognition system, there are generally two systems. First one is sensor glove based, and second one is vision based. In sensor glove based, the user has to wear the sensor gloves so that the tracking of hands can be done easily. In the vision based systems, we use deep learning models to track the hands. So currently, we're focusing on vision based CNN plus LSTM system for dynamic set of signs which consist of only hand gestures. In general, vision-based recognition system consists of 4 steps. First one is video pre-processing. In video pre-processing, when the user inputs his sign, that video has to be divided into frames. This frame extraction can be done by using FMMPEG, where we can have n number of frames, or by extracting keyframes using Katna model. Also, after the frame extraction, we need to extract ROI because I may be having a complex background. Another one is resizing the frames, refiltering the frames, converting the frame into RGB, HSV according to the proposed model. Once video pre-processing is completed, our next step is segmentation. We need to do skin segmentation or hand segmentation, body segmentation, head segmentation as per the type of the sign. This can be done by using edge detection algorithms or by skin filtering. Once the segmentation is done, the next step is feature extraction. We need to extract features because initially we have data set and we have a number of features, but these features are much and we cannot give this for training. We need to reduce those features and convert into simplified features so that it would be easier for classification. This feature extraction can be done by using Fourier descriptor, by using CNN, eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Once we get the features extracted, we will give this to the final step, that is classification. Classification can be done by a number of deep learning models like SVM, LSTM, neurofuzzy algorithms. So this was a basic recognition system for sign language. We have worked on emergency domain words like accident, call, doctor, help, which are used daily commonly to convey messages. We have 52 videos for each classes. You can view the signs here, help or call. Here we have concentrated on only hands. We have just hands in the video and we have black background so that we won't have to face complex background challenges right now. So this is our data set. Proposed approach. Our main motto is that many people should learn sign language so that these people would not feel isolated. So for that, we have planned to build an interactive learning application. Initially, the user will be shown a demonstration video. Suppose a user has to learn any sign, help or call. First, the application will show that video. The user will learn from that video. And once he has learned the video, the user will imitate the same sign. And that sign would be recorded and given as an input to the application. The application would give the video to the model, deep learning model, and deep learning model will give the results. And based on the correctness of the video, the learning process would be updated to the user. So this is a proposed approach. Architecture diagram for our application is, once the user gives an input video, this input video would be divided into frames. Currently we are dividing the video into frames by using Katna. This is a Python model which gives keyframe extraction. This is done. Katna model considers k-means clustering frames using histogram. Once the frames are extracted, these frames are given input to the feature extraction model. We are doing feature extraction using Inception V3 model, where 48 layers of convolution are used. After the feature extraction, we are doing the classification using LSTM. The LSTM model will give the results based on the input video. If the results are not matched with the desired video, the application will ask the user to try again. And if the results are matched, the application will success the award and accordingly the update progress will be updated. So here you can view the screenshot of our application. In this site, we have shown the standard video of thief sign. For simplicity, we have divided the sign into two steps, first step and second step. And here downside, you can browse the video which you have recorded and upload the video to the system. And after the checking, the system will say that if you have correctly gestured the sign or not. Here we have made sure that the user has to make sure that background color should be black and only hands are visible. So performance analysis. Our model gives accuracy of 86% on unseen data. You can view the F1 score and recall here. And from this table, we can get that pain, thief, lose. These words are correctly predicted using our model. The F1 score and recall value of doctor is 1 because doctor is a static sign. It is just this is the simple sign of doctor. So temporal values are constant and hence LSTM gives good results on doctor. So challenges. The main challenge for our project was there is no public data
Sorry
set
to interrupt,
available.
ma'am. You have last 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. There is no public data set available and very less research work is done in Indian Sign Language. And complex background, contrast of light, camera resolution are the main problem in vision-based systems. Also, size of the hand, as a very limited data set is available, size of the hand, and if the signer is left-handed or right-handed, gives a much impact. Our future scope is that we will be converting the sign language to audio and provide subtitles for live video. Also, the correctness score for every video can be given to the user. Because if the user is new to the sign language, he won't be accurate, and just a small mistake would give a different meaning to that word. So conclusion, as we all know that deep learning models are face of new technological era. So we can leverage these models concept to make a different word, better word for differently able people. As we all know that there is less research work in sign language and there is no interactive learning application till date, this interactive learning application will help people to learn the sign language, not for those people who are disabled, but also the people like us, so that the communication gap is bridged. Our end goal is to bridge the gap between sign languages and other languages, thus making a better and interactive word for people. These are some of the references. Thank you. We are open to the questions now.
Any questions from anyone? Yeah, I just have very few comments. Well, one is a question. Do you have any comparative study?
For Indian sign
Any way to
language?
compare this? Any way to compare what you have done? Because you have a table of performance analysis which you did not label. Just remember to label that table. Do you have any study to compare this with? Because you have a model accuracy of 86.4.
Yes, sir.
Any comparative study?
Comparative study.
Is there any other study along this line that whether in India or anywhere that you can compare your result with?
Excuse me,
Yeah,
sir.
you need to do some literature search to check if there has been any study, not just in India, in anywhere that uses your kind of approach, or even any other approach that you can compare the accuracy of your result with.
Yes, sir. There has been several studies in this area in Indian Sign Language as well. I am also a co-author of this paper.
Okay.
Yes, there has been studies, very few studies in Indian Sign Language as well as in American Sign Language as well. They have used, there is a study in Fourier descriptors, eigenvalues, and LSTMs. So we did we did have a comparative study, and we researched through a lot of recent papers, and we found out that LSTMs were somewhat better with a very less margin, better. That's why we chose LSTMs as our primary model for our project, for our paper.
Okay, then that will be fine. You find a way of reflecting the comparative study into your, incorporating the comparative study into this one, so that people can see where you are coming from and your contribution, how clear it is. So try to see if you can bring in a comparative study to show that yours has an accuracy of this and possibly could be the best method. And then remember to label your tables and your figures, so that if you have a table performance analysis, you label it. If you have a figure of any other thing, you label it. And then on this presentation, your title says Interactive Learning Applications for Indian Sign Language, but your presentation fully is on Indian Sign Language recognition. So I think you should also add that to it. Interactive learning application for Indian Sign Language recognition.
Yes, sir. We had that title. The original one is just the project title. The paper title was mentioned on the next slide.
Okay, so you make sure on the work that is going to be published, you reflect, because the presentation actually is on the recognition of this. Even your result is based on recognizing those sign language.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. We go to the next presenter.
Sure,
Sure.
sir. Thank you so much, Ms. Pratiksha. Question is from Mr. Zunaid Alam. Paper title is a comprehensive analysis of testing efforts using the Avisar testing tool for object-oriented softwares.
Okay.
I guess he has not joined the session.
Is he not here?
No, sir.
So are we going to the next person?
Yes, sure. Our next
Okay.
presentation is from Mr. Rakesh Kumar. Paper title is a novel upgraded uniform embedding technique for JPG steganography.
Okay. If he's around, Mr. Kumar, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, let's have you.
Okay. I'll- My screen is visible, sir?
Yeah, but you have to start from the beginning.
Yes,
You
sir.
are
I
your
will
slide
start.
4. Go to your slide 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, as per your time zone. This is Rakesh Kumar. Today, I am here to present my research work entitled Novel Upgraded Uniform Embedding Technique for JPEG Steganography. So, from the past few years, and specifically during this pandemic, we are seeing an exponential growth of data uses and transfer over the internet. Nowadays, all the crucial information get stored and processed on computer systems and is transmitted through open channels. Because the channel is open, so any person over the network has access to the information. And this information can be manipulated or even destroyed. This raises concerns over the security and integrity of a communication. One possible solution to this can be hiding the information inside a cover and making sure that the existence of hidden information is concealed. This is what we call steganography. And steganography can be defined as the science and art of covert communication, which aims to hide the secret message into a cover cover medium while achieving the least possible statistical detectability. Here, image steganography model is shown, which generates a stego image by hiding secret data M and into a cover image X using steganography encoder. And the generated stego image is transferred via communication channel to the steganographic decoder. And we can use shared key or encryption algorithms to for more security. And at the receiver, the secret message is decoded from using the shared key and the steganographic decoder. JPEG steganography finds extensive applications regarding data security and information hiding in the area of medical, military, multimedia, industry organizations. Here I have shown JPEG. For a JPEG steganography, a minimal distortion based model is used, which contains a distortion function and a coding scheme. The STC coding scheme is used because this scheme is able to embed near theoretical bound as suggested in literature. And my work is focused on distortion function. And in the next slide, we have historical background or the paper that are closely related to my work. As highlighted, this paper is a UERD scheme, which is Uniform Embedding Revisited Distortion, which I choose as a base paper. And in UERD, the statistical properties of DCT domain are used to calculate the distortion function. However, it is felt that utilizing the statistical properties of both spatial and DCT domain can achieve better results. Based on this observation, a new upgraded uniform embedding distortion function is developed and analyzed. USCare, I have abbreviated it as USCare ED. And USCare ED is a content adaptive approach which tries to hide the secret data in textured region because it is hard for the steganalizers, which is a counter to steganography, to detect the embedding changes in textured regions. Larger costs are applied to the smooth regions and small costs are applied to the textured regions. This is the mathematical explanation of the cost function, where in the first equation describes the general cost function. And in my work, a new cost measures are developed for both AC modes and DCT blocks. As shown in this figure, the element in red color is the DC coefficient, and the coefficient in green are non-zero AC coefficients, and the remaining are zero AC coefficients. This first quadrant, we can say, are all 64 elements are modes, while the each quadrants are belongs to a DCT block. For content adaptability, we use Wiener filter residuals in combination with variance estimator. And in the base paper, they were using quantization table to calculate the distortion for mode. And in my work, I am using a modified quantization table, which is based on, as shown in equation, based on a filter bank and unit modification in wavelet domain. And the for block energies, the block energy is based on 8 neighboring blocks and the estimated variance. Next is we have the experimental setup for experimental analysis. 100 images are randomly taken from BOSS-based database and are JPEG compressed for quality factor 75 and quality factor 95. Stego images are generated for payload 0.1 to 0.5 bit per non-zero AC coefficients with a step size of 0.1. For Steganalisis, GFR, which is given.
Sorry to interrupt. You have last 2 minutes only.
Okay. We have used GFR Steganalizer, which has 17,000 feature space, and it is used in combination with ensemble classifier. For ensemble classifier, we use 50 images for training, and 50 images are used for testing purpose. Ensemble classifier outputs probability of error, which is the performance metric used. Probability of error can be defined as an average of false alarm and a misdetection by, and the false alarm indicates cover image. A false alarm indicates cover image is detected as a stego image, and misdetection indicates stego image is predicted as a cover image. Higher value of probability of error reflects strong empirical security. And this is the model for performance evaluation. We use probability of error for quality factor 75 and quality factor 95, and uses the GFR, the Steganalizer, and these are the results. Probability of error for quality factor 75 using GFR, And here we can see our scheme proposed U square ED outperforms the UERD scheme and has comparable results with the JPEG Univard, that is JUnivard. For next, we have results for quality factor 95 using GFR. And from here, we can also say the results are for, in comparison with UERD, we have better results. And for Univard, we have comparable results. Univard is a wavelet domain-based approach. And next, we have conclusions and contributions. The conclusions made are based on the test results. And first conclusion is content adaptive steganography technique has better potential to hide secret data with the less statistical artifacts, and utilizing the statistical properties of both spatial and DCT domain results in more robust steganography technique, which is able to efficiently survive the stagnalysis attacks. And in contribution, we have a new hybrid distortion. We have developed a new hybrid distortion function which uses the statistical properties of both spatial and DCT domain. And based on this distortion function, we have developed the U-square ED JPEG steganography scheme, which is proposed, developed, and analyzed. I would like to add to this. These results are based on limited set of images, and more results will be present in our future work. And these are some of the references. And thank you.
So, like, how many images did you use in the embedding?
Sir, for embedding, we are using a parameter called bit per non-zero AC coefficients. Okay. So here we can see these are the AC coefficients, the green colors, non-zero AC coefficients. We are using these parameters.
Okay.
Okay, so number of bits are selected on the payload is basically on these bits. The unit of payload is bit per non-zero AC coefficients. Here we can see.
Now, on this performance evaluation, just remember that you are talking about U squared ED and not U2 ED, as you have it here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Just remember to correct that.
Yes, sir.
And now the one that is UERD,
yes,
the values being lower than those ones. What is the impact? What is the implication of that?
This means that our scheme. Yes, sir. This means that our scheme is better able to survive these stagnalysis attacks.
Okay.
This is what.
And then the proposed being ways intersecting with the green and
Yes.
then going a little bit higher implies that
Implies that it has a comparable results with Univard, but in this paper I haven't shown the computational cost time, means the time taken, and for I am working on it. The result shows that for the computation of a single image with the Univard scheme, it takes 6.6 seconds. Approx, we can say for both quality factor 75 and quality factor 95, it takes around 6 seconds if we approximate it. And our scheme takes 0.5 seconds. So that is the advantage here.
Okay, so in the methodology, you need to indicate the limits of your results.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah, so that in the paper that is going to be published, you need to clearly indicate the limits of your results. Okay, thank you for the presentation.
Oh, thanks, sir. Thank you.
So hopefully we have come to the end of all the presentations. Is the other person around? No.
Yes, sir.
Is he around?
Sir, my name is Junaid Alam and my paper ID is 220.
Yes, Junaid, you can start your presentation.
Okay, you can start.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My paper name is A Comprehensive Analysis of Testing Efforts Using the WS4 Testing Tool for Object-Oriented Softwares. Here is the abstract. Good OTF should be able to tell the difference between two things: the test results that may be outside the specification and test results that may be within the predetermined specification criteria. During testing of OTF, the testing code coverage criteria are very important and play an essential criterion for determining which tests to run and when to stop them. Based on the Java coding platform, using Java parser library, genetics Java classes, JCoco for ensuring code coverage using Java classes, we have provided our study work on evaluating effort during the OOP testing using the Avisar OOTF, that is using the GA as a serving algorithm for the OOT. During our research study, the coding and development of the suggested OOTF Avisar comes up with an evaluating tenant platform for addressing the difficulties are related to the testing of complex features of SUT, such as polymorphism, inheritance, and polymorphism, among others. Let's begin with the introduction. In this study, we offer a methodology for estimating effort used during OOP testing using the Avisar framework, which is based on the uses of genetic algorithm. During testing of OOTF, the testing code coverage criteria are an important criterion for determining which tests to run and when to stop them. A good OOTF should be able to tell the difference between two things: the test result that may be outside the specification and test results that may be within the predetermined specification criteria. In general, using any OO metric, it refers to a comprehensive methodology for estimating the amount of time required to test classes in hours. However, during object call patterns across all OO classes call methods with the access to the multiple classes of an OOSUT, these OO metrics get more complicated. Related work to facilitate automatic test beds creation from correctly described classes, Bori and Beer et al. Employed OO class level testing based on data control flow graph. They started by creating a basic flowchart that helps with the test beds development and coverage analysis. However, because as it is doesn't model the space of OO class state, it may not be able to effectively investigate the OO class. Next is T and Hiroki et al. It investigates the current behavior object to use Solem OO test based for OOP on a unit OO classes particular network. And this strategy is independent of specific need design approaches or programming language. P. Frank et al. Said that it used the class level oaths called the Astot methodology. That is, it is a collection of tools for getting OO test beds in a classical way that monitors the state values and the class state metamorphosis transition. The Astot methodology examines the OO implementation system by basically using a test oracle to automatically validate the correctness of the test beds in this methodology. However, because test beds are generated at random, it is difficult to do a test coverage analysis, a Boolean value label to denote the expected outcome of OO test beds. Avisar for estimating the test effort. First is the evaluation of coherence, interrelatedness. Second is the calculation of modular convolutional level. Third is the estimation of object-oriented modularity. First is the evaluation of coherence interrelatedness. The first is a LOC line of codes is accepted as input by the coherence interrelatedness calculator. A double-edged twin-fold biparitously graph is created using these LOC. Two nodes for the double-edged twin-fold biparitally graph are created using function and attributes called from an OS class. An attribute is related to a class function. If this class's attribute calls this function, the degree of cohesiveness may be determined as. It's a set of function and set of attributes. It's a set of double-edged twin-fold biparity graph, comma 0. It's a star condition and maximum the set of function and star of attributes. Second one is calculation of modular convolutional level. First is it receives the NOC as input to an SUT during the OD to compute the level of complexity. When applying weight to these classes, the complexity may be determined by using the formula CC equal to 1 upon NO. It's a star and number of methods NI, where NOC is the number of complexity weight in each of the classes, and NOM NI denotes the number of methods in each of the classes. Our goal should be keep the degree of modular convolutional level or object-oriented complexity as low as feasible. Third is estimation of object-oriented modularity. It gives a rough approximation of different OD features, uh, including communication depth and feasible of polymorphism oriented classes. As a use case for Avisar OTF, user can go to the input to test input code and analysis for the code. After that, it's a view test cases, then test case preparation. It's a then priority test cases go to the priority test case. It's a user for the user, and effort estimation for the object oriented testing effort estimation, also input codes. It's an object sequencing diagram for Avisar or OTF. First, user asked to enter test code, then it's enter the test code, and it gives the front panel. After that, test code input go to the preliminary code analysis, and it's a processing of test code. Then code is feed to test case generator, and test case generator is goes to the test case selection using generative algorithm. Test case selection is applying selection crossover mutation, and it gives the result of prioritized test cases, ensuring max code coverage for fault detection. Test case prioritization using fitness function is coming up to the test case
Dear
prioritization.
presenter, you have last 2 minutes.
Okay, sir. It's a test case prioritization and effort estimation. Finally, it gives the result of estimated effort result and set of prioritized test case using GA. It's a code for the OOT effort approximation and estimation in the course of the constitution of the Avisar OOT. To demonstrate the OOTF Avisar, which will be used to carry out the requested job. It's a Avisar tool that work on the basic code. It's a selection of any OO sources code that may be checked with the OOTF Avisar. It's the use of a GA to execute testbed using Avisar, and it's a demonstrate the GA instantaneous optimization of testbeds. To demonstrate the testbeds that is being developed for OOP and the test, it's a little bit blur. Result of experiment is the suggested OO testing framework. Avisar, when implemented in Java, produce superior result for short pieces of OO code. The following are the outcomes. It's a when a set of ramification and characteristics were combined with the bend in the double-edged twin-fold biparity graph to measure cohesive, it produces unexpected result for lesser code, but as the OO Morse code proportion grow larger, it grows to infinity. The following nomogram plotted between number of methods and number of classes in each OOP was used to compute complexity to illustrate its performance. For a smaller Java program and modules, the method feasibility, polymorphism, inheritance, and encapsulation are utilized to estimate work in the entire performance of the OOD estimator. It's a conclusion. Using the Avisar OOD, we have developed a testing technique for evaluating efforts put in during the execution of OOD trail, and during the examination of effort utilizing the OOD for Avisar, we discovered that the usage of GA has shown to be beneficial in terms of estimating decreased effort when testing the tool. It's my references. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any question from anyone? Mr. Alan,
Yes,
I
sir.
want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
What are the components of a visa for measuring the testing efforts?
It's an inheritance.
Huh?
It's an inheritance, a component. With the help of inheritance, we can test the AVSR techniques.
No, what I mean is which software components, which attributes of the OO program is it measuring? Because
Oh,
I hear you mentioning some complexity aspects. You mentioned cohesiveness. You mentioned NOC. You mentioned inheritance and a bit of this. But I'm confused with your NOC definition because you are if it says if it's an object-oriented software written in Java.
yes, sir.
I know of NOC to be the number of children, which has a relationship to bear with the depth of with the inheritance. Because if you define a class, if a class is calling another class, calling another class, another class calling another class with all the attributes, and you can see that there is a chain down the line. So you can talk of a class having the number of children or the depth of inheritance. But in this case, you define your NOC as the number of complexity. How do you mean by that?
It's a inheritance concept. When we create a class and we inherit the multiple classes, we call the object for the number of children, number of parents.
Yeah, so if you mean that it should not be called the number of complexity, you call it the number of children. Because complexity is to the entire software. Software
Okay,
complexity, you can define the components as this. So if you mean the number of children, then you change it to number of children, not the number of inheritance.
sure, sir, sure.
Okay, then
Okay.
how does the tool, our visa, how does it measure cohesiveness?
Sir, I didn't understand what are you asking.
The tool you are using, Avisa, to in this measurement, it is a measurement tool. It's a tool.
Yes, sir.
It's a software tool that measures testing efforts, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So I think you have some results. In the result, do you have some results?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't know if I'm taking much of our time. I did some working with Java and OO systems where I measured cohesiveness, I measured coupling, I measured a lot of other things. That's how I know that when you are measuring it, but I did not use Avisa. I wasn't measuring testing. I was measuring just cohesiveness. Was measuring cohesion, coupling, and though I generated numbers for the number of children, depth of inheritance, the tool I use is different from this one. So I wanted to know how Avisa measures cohesiveness. In the tool I use, cohesiveness is between a range of 0 and 1. And if it is more than that, it means that the software is not well designed. But now you are measuring the efforts. So your efforts in terms of what? That's where I didn't get you properly.
Sir, with the help of Avisar, it's a Java application, and in this application we import the our classes. It's a testing classes and training classes, and we initialize classes, then put the set values, and it gives the print result. And after compilation of successful, you can now proceed to next step, and it gives the better result for the another tools, like it's a Java based classes, and it is used the inheritance, and it is used for the polymorphism. uh, it's a better tool for another tools.
So does it generate result for NOC, DIT, your number of children, not depth of inheritance, and maybe number of weighted class, you know, it adds weight to the classes and so on and so forth. Does Avisa generate such a table where you can pinpoint these numbers?
Yes, sir.
But you didn't show it on the result.
I'm showing the results.
Where is it? Anyway, just make sure you check that the result is shown and the various components of what is generated as testing efforts by
Sure.
Avisa. That will be very important.
Sure,
And
sir,
then
sure.
what we want to know, you compare it with some other measures. If there has been some other work done in that direction, try to show, make a comparison to see that this is how Avisa performs better than the other one.
Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much, sir.
And for all of
Thank
you
you
who
so much.
participated, thank you, everyone. Okay, over to you, our other coordinator.
Yes. Thank you so much, Junaid. Our next presentation is from Mr. Arpit Jain. Paper title is A Review on Consensus Protocol of Blockchain Technology.
But it's not here on my paper. Where is it? Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead. Go
Hi,
ahead.
Arpit.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, let me share my screen. Is it visible now?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just make a slide. All right. So thank you for the opportunity to the organizers, and I'm Arpit Jain, working as a PhD or working as a PhD scholar at Namibia University of Science and Technology, and I'm going to present about a review on consensus protocol of blockchain technology. The authors are Arpit Jain and my supervisor Dharam Singh Jat. So here I'm going to discuss about introduction, blockchain network, consensus mechanism, aim of review, consensus algorithms, merits and demerits, conclusion, and references. So to secure the communication in computing network, the blockchain technology has been introduced. And blockchain technology is decentralized distributed ledger where each transaction is stored in the form of blocks using cryptographic hash function. As you can see in the diagram, the block consists of block header, hash of the previous block, and multiple transactions done on that, and the hash of its own, so which can be connected to the another block, and this is how the chain of blocks can build up. So blockchain provides tamper-proof transaction as these blocks are immutable in nature, means you cannot modify. So that leads to security, and there is no single point of control, no administrator, no authority to lead it, since all the participants plays equal role and equal rights. Once the transaction has been created, it will be broadcasted through the blockchain network to all the participants so that they can verify and validate that transaction. The transaction is certified by participants, and validation of transaction is done through consensus mechanism, which is a decision-making process. So before going to consensus mechanism, I would like to put some light on blockchain networks. What are the type of blockchain networks? So the consensus are actually categorized based on these types of blockchain network. Public or permissionless means it is non-restrictive, which means any of the user can join the network, which leads to transparency. Private or permission, it works in a restrictive manner in which only authorized members can participate. This is more secure and scalable at organizational level. And the third one is consortium or federated, which is actually a kind of hybrid network, allows combination of public and private blockchain. Now the question comes in mind that what is consensus? So consensus is the mechanism to achieve the agreement about the current state of distributed ledger in the blockchain network. And there are many researches done on this consensus mechanism as blockchain is trending. So the main objective of consensus is collaboration, commitment, participation, and equal rights to all the participation in the blockchain network. It ensures the reliability and signifies that every new block is the one and only one version of the fact that is agreed upon by all the participants in the blockchain network. Ultimately, it comes to the agreement that whatever information is saving, we all agree on that. or majority of participants agrees. So to achieve the agreement on the committed transaction, many consensus algorithm has been proposed by the researchers, such as proof of work, proof of a stake, proof of elapsed time, proof of burn, proof of capacity, practical Byzantine fault tolerance, Paxos, RAF, many means there are numerous of algorithms available. So numerous consensus algorithms were designed and each technique has their own merits and demerits. The existing blockchain sorry yeah the existing blockchain basically like having certain issues or challenges, so it gives motivation that no, in this area we need to research or we need to work. So the lack of optimized comprehensive comparative study based on various characters such as performance, transaction, many researches are done but not clear indication on specific aspects. So our aim of this review paper is to provide comprehensive study of consensus protocol with the following objective. First, basically to investigate and study the working principle of existing consensus protocol of blockchain technology, to understand the application domain based on type of blockchain network and consensus techniques, to compare the various consensus algorithm based on several parameters and different aspects. Now the parameters we will see in the table in future, but different aspects like performance, like network, security, many. To understand the merits and demerits of consensus techniques, because every consensus has their own advantages and disadvantages. So these are the type of consensus algorithms which we have extracted. This is not limited only to this. There are many other algorithms available, but these are the more popular ones. Those are generally routinely used in the application domain. So these are proof of work, proof of a stake, delegated proof of a stake, proof of elapsed time, practical Byzantine fault tolerance, which is basically based on Byzantine fault tolerance, proof of activity, proof of burn, proof of capacity, proof of trust, Paxos, RAF, and many more. So from here, from all this study, whatever we have done in this review paper, we have tabularized in 6 tables or 6 different aspects. The first one is showing basic characteristics. So here you at the left side, you can see consensus algorithm, POW, proof of work, POS sense, proof of a stake, and so on. And here on the top row, you can see the parameters that which type of blockchain is, what are the consensus categories, degree of decentralization, scalability, whether it is high, low, or medium scalable to the specific domain, data models, which type of model, either they are using transaction-based, account-based model, or key value-based, then energy saving or not, or whether it requires huge high resources or heavy computational resources. Okay, trusted model, untrusted, semi-trusted, like that. So this is the comparative analysis between various algorithms. These are just a basic characteristics. Then I would like to put highlight on the transaction, because when you deal with the blockchain technology, there are other aspect comes in the transaction. When the data is stored or when the transaction comes on the blockchain, then it will be replicated or distributed to all the participants. And these parameters comes into action, that transaction finality, whether it's probabilistic or immediate, transaction rate, how fast this is moving, okay, transaction fees, okay, because definitely if you do some transaction on that, what will be the fee, or is it a chargeable or not, verification speed, whether it's slow, medium, or high. So these are the transaction aspects which we have analyzed from the our study. The third aspect is that network aspect, where this algorithms or consensus algorithms are realized on the network. Like you can see, proof of work is utilized in Bitcoin, Litecoin, proof of stakes are utilized in Peercoin, Nextcoin. There are many things. And like similarly, PBFT, that is practical Byzantine fault tolerance, which is utilized on a Hyperledger Fabric platform, which is an open source platform. So these are the cost of participation, token needed, tolerated power of the adversary, means all these are the aspect of the network, that how these performance, or not sorry performance, but how these consensus algorithms are performing on the network aspect. Then we analyze in the table number 4. In this, we have analyzed the performance metrics from the various researches done. So we found that these algorithms throughput, response time, latency, and whether it is extendable or not. Then in this aspect,
sorry to
security.
interrupt. You have last 2 minutes, sir.
All right, security aspects. And in this, we have like identified with the attacks, crash fault tolerance, Byzantine fault tolerance, double spending problem within the various. And the table number 6, we have the block aspect, because when you are dealing with the blockchain, then there are many aspects like mining of the blocks, rewards of the blocks, electing the miners, block creation speed, block propagation, block validation. All those aspects are analyzed properly, and comparative charts added. Finally, we added the merits and demerits, that what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of individual consensus mechanism, and based on that the researcher get the idea about the all algorithms. Conclusively, blockchain technology is that innovation which ensures trust in distributed decentralized system using consensus techniques. We have presented the investigation on numerous consensus based on the category permission, permissionless, and consortium based. And the distributed ledger technology is not only limited to financial sector, as from the study we found that it is explored in the many industries like supply chain, healthcare, insurance, financial sector, and many more. With this study, researchers can get the depth understanding of consensus mechanism, and this can help in extending the capability of consensus mechanism in future, which can be highly scalable, decentralized, and secure. And definitely a new consensus algorithm will be coming soon with these type of studies. Thank you so much. These are the references, and I would like to thank at last my supervisor, Professor Dharam Singh Jat, and the organizers who have given me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I have one small question.
Yes,
Can
sir,
I ask
please.
you, from all this analysis of the review, what's the main challenge of consensus protocols now? Which main problem did you
Thank you,
identify?
sir. Thank you for the question. Yes, sir. Thank you for your question. The sir, main challenge is the resources. Like if you see the proof of work that actually has requirement of heavy computational resources, and when the blockchain network grows, definitely the complexity increases, and with the complexity, security measures also has an on the account to be looked at. So these are the major challenges, but also I got the solution that you must go with the permission blockchain, where you can actually provide the solutions of the public blockchain into the modular form, that is a permission or the restrictive one.
Okay, thank you. Any other question from anyone? All right, thank you. Do we have any other presenter?
Thank you, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
We are done. We are done for our presenters.
Okay.
So we are moving ahead with our closing remarks. I sincerely thank our authors for their excellent presentation and contribution in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough. All the presenters will be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. Further, all the papers have been already forwarded to the Springer. The publication will be live within 5 to 6 months, so kindly cooperate with the team of WS4 2021. I also thank our session chair, Dr. Ezekiel for chairing the session. A token of appreciation to the chair on behalf of Team WS4 2021 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so at last, I request you all to on the camera so that we can have a quick snapshot for the virtual conference.
Okay. We have our winter season here, so that's why I'm putting on something thick. So it's winter here in Botswana.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Stay safe. Take care.
Okay. Okay, everything is over now.